So now that we kind of know that we're going to work with the backend communicating with our Docker setup, just like we talked about in the last lesson, what we're going to do is we're going to set up the environment variables so we can start actually setting up all the information we need in order for those two to talk together. So again, if we look at the drawing, we need to kind of set up how do these guys talk together? What's the database we want to use? What's the password? What's the user we want to kind of, in order to connect these two together? Because there's of course security set up so anybody can't just go and join this Postgres database as they want. So let's set that up. Now in the guide, he talks about installing this NestJS config file. So we'll do that. Now this is a pretty powerful thing. We'll add this right here. We'll just do an npm install and add that config. What it can do for us is it can kind of fake the way that Node.js works with environment files. It can fake it and we can start using this again in the local environment for our setup. So the reason we do it is because we want to start actually adding all these informations, but we want to add them so that it's easy for us later to add them also on Heroku or whatever web server we want to add them later on. Again, we don't want to make static information. We could just put in all this statically if we wanted to, but no, instead we want to set up some property information so we can easily change those when we kind of deploy this to a live environment later on. And that's why we have this. In order to start using the config file, we need to add this line right here as well. We need to start explaining that we want to, in the app module, we want to start using the config module that we just installed. Let's try and go and do that. We'll go to the app module. Inside the app module, we'll add in the imports. We'll add a new line. Just to make Lint happy, I'll just make an extra line right here. We'll add this. We'll go and just do a new line here as well to make Lint a happy gopher. There we go. And now we'll just add this config. And there we go. Now we have everything installed in order to start using this config module that we need. Now going back to the code again, when we have this, we just want to also install a new file called .environment. This is going to contain the local information for our config setup. So it's just going to be local information. And of course, all of this information is going to match the information that we set up in Docker environment file. So it should be the same Postgres user, Postgres password, and Postgres database. You should have the same information here. Let's just try and add all of this inside our system. I'll go into the system and I'll just add a new file. And let's just go to the root called file.environment. And again, if it asks if it should be what type of file it should be, just choose text file. That's all it is. There we go. Now with this installed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy all this code directly in here. Boom. There we go. And now we have all this information available that we need. Now we have the host, the port, the user, the password, and the database. Now remember, I changed the name for my database, so I'm going to do the same right here. I'm going to go to the environment file. It's called chat app. And I'm going to go back to the new environment file, and I'm just going to change this to chat app. And again, remember, it has to have the same name for the database. We actually have this in place. I want to do one more thing. I want to change my port right here to 3000. And with the 3000 port, I actually want to, if you guys are seeing this videos, I'm sorry. I still cannot pronounce 3000. It's, I don't know. There's something wrong with me. I don't know what it is. It might be an issue inside my head. I really don't know. There's something wrong. The word 3000 is just tough. But let's just keep that port just for the fun of it, to make fun of me at least. We're going to keep that new port, and I want to start using it inside my main TS file. So notice right now I hard-coded the 3000 right here. I actually want to try to get that value from here, because later on, again, when I deploy this to Heroku, I might get another port. So I don't want this hard-coded value in here anymore inside the main TS file. So let's try and change that. Now it's very luckily, actually, I can go and I can get the service that I just created inside the app module right here. I can go and get the service that knows how to get information from this file. So let's just try and do that inside our code. What I'll do is first I'll make a const right here, config service. That's the name for the service that I want to get. So the name for that service is actually config service. That's the pre-built service that we're going to use. I'm going to just explain that it's going to be of the type config service. Now this is how I can kind of explain that it's the NestJS config that I want to get. And the final thing I want to do is I want to say equals, and I'll say app.get, and then I can say that I want to get that config service in here, config service, and that's pretty much all I have to do. That's kind of how I'll get that dependency injected service that I need. Now when I have that config service available, I should be able to say get, and then I'll put in the name of the property I want to get, and that's actually the port right here. So that's the environment property I need. Let's try and go back to the environment file, and you'll see it's this name right here I'm putting in. So that should mean that now the port should be actually 3000 right here. I'll just try and save this. So just restart the server just to be 100% sure that this is actually kicking in. And the final thing, let's just try and refresh. Now I want to open up my developer tools just to see if we actually have access, and everything is still running. So it seems the server is happy with this new port, and now it's actually a dynamic port that will be changed when I deploy this later on. So that's pretty neat. Let's just try and go back one more time right here and just change this to 3100 just to see that it would actually fail then, and make sure that it actually grabs the right port name. I'll just restart the server one final time right here. I'll do a refresh, and now you'll see could not connect to server. So it seems I've hit the right code right here. Now it's actually 3100. Let's just keep 3100 in here, and let's actually go and try and change it in the front end as well, just for the fun of it, to see that it actually runs again. So I'll just change that to 3100. I'll go back, I'll refresh the page, and now we are back up and running. Happy days. So let's just get rid of this guy and see if we can also log in. Let's say John, and do a login, and hopefully we can see that John is logged in. We have connection with the server. Everything's running now with 3100 as port, which is, by the way, also a lot easier to say. So that's it for this lesson. See you next time. Bye.